the WNBA.
Ooh.
And this is getting particularly dicey. Nafisa Collier coming out and ethering the commissioner of the WNBA. Just absolutely, I mean, what's the phrase you used on
napalming?
Basically saying that that Kathy Engelberg has not doesn't call her, doesn't reach out in a way that her husband, who's running, unrivaled, does for other players when they're hurt or need to be. They're seeing some of the business at hand that she sees from that side of the family, that it doesn't happen here. Does the NBA reach out and step in here in this contract collective bargaining agreement negotiation that does appear to be spilling out in many different ways because it's not moving in a direction that the WNBA players like? Is that basically the question, or am I asking the wrong question?
No, I mean, look, I've never seen anything like that, for an active player to come out and in a prepared statement just napalm's the word, just napalm your boss, basically the person running your league. That I'd never in my life seen something like that in sports. Some of the stuff I thought was a little over the top, like Kathy Engelbert didn't call Collier when she sprained her ankle. Mm-hmm. Like Adam Silver doesn't call players when they have relatively minor injuries. Like that doesn't happen. Does Roger Goodell call a guy when he's turned his ankle or pulled a hamstring, or that stuff just doesn't happen. I also think it's a dangerous place to go to be revealing private conversations, and I don't know if Kathy Engelbert said the things that Nafisa Collier said. Let's assume for the sake of argument that she did. Mm-hmm. I think if you're trying to negotiate a CBA extension, showing that you're willing to reveal anything that's said at any given time is not a great thing. All that being said, I think Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, is very bad at communicating, like very, very bad at communicating.
So does Adam Silver step in any way, shape, or form? Because they own a piece of the WNBA.
Do, but
NBA is in WNBA. I mean, it's their brand too.
They're not. Look, I don't know if Kathy Engelbert survives all this. There's been some reporting out there that once the CBA is done, that she would step aside and somebody new would take over. I don't get the sense that the NBA thinks that she's doing a bad job as commissioner. Like, her communication skills clearly suck. But I don't think that the NBA believes she's horrible at her job. Like, this whole... this is all, everything traces back to the CBA. And they're barreling towards a work stoppage. That seems inevitable at this point because these two sides, it seems like they're really far apart. I think that the WNBA and the NBA, to an extent, has a point where the WNBA came in and their initial ask was to look for a piece of the pie. They were talking about splits, like revenue sharing, that kind of stuff. The stuff that NBA players get. The NBA players get 50% of the revenue from the NBA. Well, you can do that in the NBA, where you have a total revenue of like $11 billion. You can do a 50% split. The WNBA's total revenue is like $400 million.
Even with new television contracts?
That's with it. Like $500 million, if you want to say. If you ask for let's just say a 50-50 split, that doesn't... You can't run a league with like $250 million. It's just apples and oranges in some ways. I think what the WNBA and their players should be emphasizing, and this is where you can win over a lot of the public support, is that, hey, $70,000 for these salaries is nowhere close to being enough. Let's get that up over $200,000. Let's get max salaries well over $1 million. Those are the things that I think people can get behind, because the WNBA is growing as a sport. It is growing in popularity. But I think we're just headed towards a nasty work stoppage.
It's already there.
It's there, but we haven't stopped working. I think when you get to the end of the month, and I'm not a diligent WNBA reporter on all this. I'm sort of learning in real time. But it doesn't seem like anything that will stop this from being a shutdown.
Well, we've been through labor negotiations as people who have covered sports, and this absolutely screams lack of progress. This screams lack of trust. This screams, as you said, work stoppage. We're obviously not. We're still playing games. But I just wanted to ask you about what the
There's
NBA thinks about
there's
it.
been, like, you go back to and I covered the David Stern labor negotiations back in the day. There's some nasty things said about David Stern back in those days as well. It always gets said, but I'd never, like, for someone to come out, I mean, that was a coordinated attack. Like, someone to come out, I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but to come out and read a prepared statement that said those things. And then, like, I think the union came out right after that with their own statement, and player reps for teams are ready to go with their responses.
This CBA negotiation, man. Like, all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck in a CBA negotiation. And it's his money, and it gets really intense and emotional. It spills out in many different ways. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.